Studio 12 on this Wednesday, our first game week show. And I'm guessing Matt Simon, I'm Will Johnson, by the way, Matt Simon with me. We'll introduce our special guest here in just a moment. But at some point this week, do you ram your head through a wall and in anticipation for all this on Saturday?
I've been told in the past that I get too amped up early. I need to save it for game day. So I've learned my lesson. Cade and Clay and them kind of talked. I'm saving it for Saturday.
Well,
I'll hit something. Just let me know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If needed on game day.
Absolutely.
And with that, I want to introduce our guest, and he is Athletics Director Scott Woodward here at Texas A&M. We're glad to have him for the first half of the show. And I had an old coach that used to tell me, slow burn till game time. Don't exude all the energy during the week.
Good advice.
Is that good advice for a lot of people this week?
No doubt.
Well, good to have you with us, and I'm sure the excitement's building for you as well.
Oh, absolutely. Can't wait. It's one thing that I'm focused on and ready for, and can't wait to see these young men who've been working very hard at practice really watch the fruits of their labor come forth.
And that's fun for you, isn't it, to get out to practice, to kind of watch the process and then watch it develop and be executed on game day?
No question about it. It's a very interesting, not only a hard physical process, but it's a good mental process to watch. And for people that don't know, our coaches are more like teachers, and they spend more time with our student athletes than professors do. And there's a lot of learning and a lot of teaching going on out there. So it's very impressive.
And I think about the young men on this football team during this week. They got to go to class, got to take care of business there before we even get to Saturday and before they get to their practices in the afternoon or evening. But I can always imagine them maybe daydreaming in class about Saturday. You've got plenty of tasks you've always got to handle, but is it hard to not focus forward towards Saturday and the kickoff of that game against UCLA?
That's the difference in students and us old fogies is that we're so dialed in and nervous. They're on to the next thing, as soon as it happens. And we give them and focus on them way too much that it's the end of the world if they lose, and it's, the ultimate victory if we win. Of course, it matters to them, and it matters a lot. Mm-hmm. But they're very resilient, and they move on, and they're worried about school, and they're worried about their family and girlfriends and everything else that normal students worry about. So don't be shocked if they're not as dialed in as we Aggie fans and administrators and folks that support what they do.
Yeah, and Matt and I kind of talked about that on a previous show. This opening weekend of college football, people are calling it monumental, the slate of games. Part of it is Texas A&M and UCLA. That's why it's so attractive. But do you just not want to make too much of game one, regardless of the result? I mean, this thing's going to roll on all the way through December with the Aggies. I mean, you can't overblow it, I guess.
No question about it. They're all big games, and they're all fun, and they're all great to dial into. And there's nothing I would ever say to minimize it. But you do have to remember that, Will, that it is a whole season, and there's a lot going on here and a lot happening, and there's plenty to see this season. And so, while that is the case, we are also dialed in, and we want to win this one badly.
Mm-hmm. We were talking with you just a couple minutes ago about watching the process, watching how things develop. And I think maybe one of the storylines that isn't being talked about a lot is some of the changes Coach Sumlin made in his staff. And a lot of people that I've talked to have said this is the best staff that he's had since he's been here. And frankly, it's one of the best staffs in the country. How much fun has it been for you to kind of watch these guys do their thing? What do you focus on a specific group? Do you kind of just float around a little bit?
Yeah, Matt. From my standpoint, I don't have a historical vantage that you guys have of watching previous staffs here. I've seen staffs in the places I've been and watched them and visited places. And there's no doubt in my mind that this is a cohesive, veteran, experienced staff that does everything well, whether it's teaching, whether it's managing the kids, or more importantly, or as importantly, recruiting. Yeah. And so they get after it, and it's something that I've been very pleased with and very impressed with in watching how they how they interact as teachers on the field and as teachers off the field, as well as recruiters.
One of the other names that got bounced around, Will, yesterday was Trevor Knight by Coach Sumlin and Noel Mazzoni and even John Chavis. You got a chance to meet Trevor, talk to him a little bit. People are just talking about how much he's brought to this team. Again, I know you don't have the perspective, but off the field, you know, the leadership that he's got. Have you got a chance to visit with him?
I have not. We've met, but I try to leave them alone unless they engage me. You know, I'm not one of those guys who is going to try to rah-rah them too much. But I have relationships with certain ones that seek me out, and I'm there to support them. And that's the main reason I'm at practice. I'm not there to obviously teach or call plays. I'm there to show support and say, hey, it matters to the athletic department what you do and how you do it. And so that's the main reason we're there. But Trevor has received incredible reviews from his coaches and from his teammates and the folks I've talked to, and I expect good and big things from him.
A&M AD Scott Woodward joining us on this edition of Studio 12 from the south end zone of Kyle Field, and from this very same venue on Saturday, the Aggies kick off the season against UCLA, and this is a home and home. The Aggies are going to go out to the Rose Bowl next year to begin the season, and then it's kind of glamorous, these openers we've got for a while, because it's Clemson home and home in 18-19, Colorado I think it is in 20 and 21. Scheduling, the way you look at it, is this what you like? Obviously, some of these things are set well in advance of your time at A&M, but do you like the setup of that big game to start the season, and so many are going to this neutral site, but these are home and homes, the Aggies and these upcoming opponents?
Yeah, we're limited on what we can do, and what we inherited, because obviously our neutral site game is with Arkansas, a conference foe. And so it's hard for us to get or even to do a neutral site game. So we have to do these home and homes, and they do work. And as you well know, it's a requirement now in the SEC that we play a Power 5 team, and so we try to schedule with that in mind, and hopefully good venues for our away games for our fans to travel to, and exciting games for our fans at home to see. And I think the UCLA game fits right into that category.
You've seen the Bruins in your past, Pac-12 out there. There's always that debate of best conference in the country now. I think we all like to consider the SEC as that. But do other conferences maybe sense it? Does any SEC team that plays non-league in September have a target on their back because of the conference they reside in, like an A&M this Saturday with UCLA coming to town?
I don't believe it has anything to do with conference, Will. I think it has to do with your opponent. And we have an enormous amount of respect for UCLA, and I did when I was at Washington. A very good team. Coach Moore is a very good coach with a good staff, and we look at it that way, and it's one of those games that's going to be hard fought, and frankly, I like our chances. I like the way our kids are playing, and if we take care of our business, things should be good Saturday.
Athletics Director Scott Woodward with us here on Studio 12. As we're sitting here just a little bit over 72 hours before kickoff, how excited are you to get to see Kyle Field rocking and rolling for your first time here?
Oh, I can't wait. I really can't. It's actually something that I've been looking forward to from day one. The traditions and the pomp and circumstance and everything that we do pregame and during the game. And like I've said before, it's going to be difficult to dial into the game because of so much pageantry and so much tradition. But it'll be fun, and it'll even be more fun if we win.
Now, is that how you like to play? Do you like to sort of lock in on the game, or how do you play a game day out? Will and I are both pretty nervous. We kind of try to keep ourselves busy so we don't have to really get too amped up on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts from my standpoint of what goes on in a game, and we have tremendous staff that oversee it. Mike Caruso and his folks on the game day management, and everyone that is involved in every facet of the game. But my focus is trying to dial into what's going on the field and the sideline, and make sure that the integrity of the game is good, and making sure all goes smoothly inside the lines.
Field Will Johnson, Matt Simon with you. We've also got Texas A&M's Director of Athletics, Mr. Scott Woodward, joining us on this show as we all look forward to Saturday, Texas A&M and UCLA to kick off the 2016 season. And I was curious, Scott, a new season is getting underway. It actually started last Friday down in Australia with Cal and Hawaii, but in earnest it begins this week. Amongst athletics directors, maybe the guys you have right here in the SEC, maybe nationally, are there college football topics that are out there that you guys discuss a lot, that want to pick each other's brains, how to handle things? Or at the moment, are we in a situation where there's not as much of those topics and items that need to be discussed right now? How's that playing out with you lately?
I think you've seen it in the past few years, and you will continue to see it moving forward, is the best and well interest of the student athlete, and how are we taking care of them, whether it be financially or health wise, what we're doing for our student athletes. And I think you'll continue to see that progress, and I think it's a very good thing.
Mm-hmm. And you've always, looking ahead, you've always got facilities out there. You've got Kyle Field here, and we've discussed in the past what's happening with softball, track and field. They're getting new stadiums in 2018. But that game day at Kyle Field, when you get the 100,000 Aggies in here and the national television audience, people talk about it as the front porch to the university. What does that game day do for Texas A&M University and Texas A&M athletics, maybe outside the scope of football, even though it is a football game?
Yeah, I'm obviously biased because it is our department, and we think we have a great positive effect on the university, bringing people together. And as you mentioned, with the great metaphor of being the front porch to the university, and we want to make the university proud in what and how we do things, and I know we have, and we will continue to do so. But it is very important, whether it's a citizen of the state of Texas coming here, bringing their child and showing what could be possible for them and the aspiration of going to college, all the way to top researchers in the world seeing what we're doing here and being introduced to it, as well as world-class football and world-class behavior from a fan base that's so unique and so different that it is just beyond description as being special.
Mm-hmm. And I always think about it, you get these first two games here that we start the season with, whether it's UCLA or Prairie View, you're going to have near 100,000 at this, but some of these people in the stands for these two games, it's going to be their first Aggie game.
Sure.
And it's going to be thousands that are attending their first Aggie games. You really want to make that impression on that individual, don't you? So they can kind of get ingrained in everything that is Aggie.
Well, of course, but it's also the Aggie that's been coming for 40, 50 years.
They'll be there too.
It's as important to do that, and yeah, I mean the freshmen that come in for the first time is that we want to make an impression on them, and we want them coming back, and we want them loving their university and giving back to it and doing the things that Aggies do. It's so important to who we are. So yeah, we think about all that, and it's a very hard thing to do, because different generations like different things, and things evolve. As much as we like our tradition, things do evolve.
No doubt. This is also, we've just kicked off an athletic season here because G. Guerreri and Lori Corbelli's teams, soccer and volleyball, both nationally ranked, they're underway.
Yeah.
And we're coming off that campaign in which we saw every team the Aggie sponsor in their respective postseason. Only school in the country to do it. Maybe a tough question here. How do you top that in 2016-17?
Well, it's hard and it's difficult, Will, and we want to make sure that we stay focused on that, and we hope we have another bang-up banner year. And, someone asked me the other day, are your goals to win national championships in every sport? And absolutely it is. We know it's probably next to impossible and has never been done, but those are our aspirations, and that's what we want to do. And as you mentioned, we did make it to postseason in every sport we participate in, but as impressive is what we did in the three major sports. We were the only SEC team to play in a bowl, play in the NCAA basketball tournament, and play in the NCAA baseball tournament. And, on top of that, being in the hunt for national championships in a few sports, I mean, that's a great thing, and it's a great place to be. And we're very lucky, and as we all know from the cliches and metaphors, the climb to the top is the most treacherous piece, and so we're trying to do it, and we're trying to get there. But what we have here is very special, and hopefully we as Aggies appreciate that and just don't take it for granted, because there are a lot of programs that are very envious of what and how we're doing it.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple weeks ago, about how fans can really, I mean, you can dive headfirst into football, then you just jump right into basketball, and that's a team you get to watch into March, and then baseball, you get to watch them into June. It's not very common that a team can do that, or a fan base can get to do that, and I think fans need to really kind of embrace that opportunity there. So you've got this big game on Saturday for you. Any one specific element of game day you're looking forward to, or is it just the whole thing? Do you get there super early? Do you soak it all in?
Yeah, I get there super early and think about it and dial in, and the whole experience. I'm going to be at Midnight Yell, and it's going to be unique for me because it'll be my first time there. I'll take that in, and then obviously get there very early pregame and try to see folks and try to make sure that we're doing everything we need to do to prepare for this great game.
Glad you mentioned Midnight Yell. That's pretty special event, because that's something
You'll
I think
love it, by the way.
If people have never seen that, you roll about 40,000 people in at midnight. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty neat deal.
Man, it's really special the night before a big game like this one is. Sometimes we hear coaches, Scott, say that when I quit having butterflies before a game, then I know it's time to hang it up.
Yeah.
I mean, are you a butterfly guy leading up to kickoff?
Oh, sure.
Does it swim in the stomach a little bit?
Absolutely. Very much so. And it's as much. It's more about empathy for the kids.
Right.
As I go see them pregame, and you watch them go through the different machinations of nervousness and anxiety, and it's a special thing, and different kids act differently, and so. It's like watching your own children in sports. I had a son that played high school baseball and football, and he pitched and played quarterback, and I was, nervous wreck.
You rode with every piece.
Exactly. And so these kids become your kids, and you feel for every, catch and every drop pass and every, fumble and every mistake, and you also kind of benefit in the glory of it all, whether it's a touchdown or a victory or a great play. Those things all become part of you, and it's dealing with that human experience and it's that life experience that we're all about. Because it's easy to be a front runner and win and do the good things, but this is all about teaching them the most important thing in life, and to me, it's overcoming adversity. And, I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer here, because God knows I want to win like anyone else. But you will be faced with adversity.
No question.
And that's the one skill set that I think goes not well explained to the average fan is, hey, we all know that their time management skills are unbelievable with the schedules they keep and the study habits that they have and the class schedules that they maintain to do everything that they do is quite incredible. And that's probably what an employer is looking for, a lot. But I always tell Aggies, especially Aggie employers who want to hire our student athletes, that their ability to overcome adversity is the best thing. And that is what is special about our student athletes.
At such a young age, really.
No question.
No doubt.
Just sort of on that note, Coach, someone was asked yesterday about the 3 kids he put on scholarship last week, the 3 walk-ons. You talk about overcoming adversity, people that pay their own way. and then to be rewarded with a scholarship, that's a pretty special and that's a pretty big deal, isn't it?
There's no question about it. And then for the kids that walk on and participate in scout teams that are every much part of this team as the starters, and they don't get to dress out always, and they don't get to bathe in the glory, but they're there day in and day out, and they're making our team better. Yeah. Those are the unsung heroes and those are what make us as a university unique, because we do appreciate that, and we have this great tradition, and knowing that, hey, we're here to help and we're here to service, and that's a great thing about what and how we do it.
And that was also a good lead to a plug by Matt Simon, because Connor McQueen, he's got a recurring segment on this show each week. He was once a walk-on, awarded a scholarship. He's set to join us on Friday. He's going to bring one of those individuals, Tanner Short, who was awarded a scholarship earlier this week. So that'll be fun on Friday to get those guys in here. So good plug. Good lead to a plug there, Matt.
Right there. Once a month. It happens once a month.
He's dialed in.
We're done now.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Scott, this is exciting. Thank you so much for taking the time. And, enjoy Midnight Yell, first of all, and then let's hope it all goes well Saturday against those Bruins at Kyle Field.
Absolutely. Matt and Will, thanks for having me, and it's always a pleasure. And, let's get that victory and move on to great things.
Yeah.